Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Welcome all the devotees for today's session on Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatah Jayamudirayat Nashtaprayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So today we are starting the 11th chapter of the first canto. So I'll be reading the shlokas and then each one of you can read later on. Suta uvacha Ānartāns upavrajyah Sruddham anjana padan swakan Dadhamau darvaram tesham Vishad shamayan ivah स उच्चकाशे धवलः दरः तरः अपि उरुक्रमस्य अधर शोण शोणिमा दधाम्यमानः करकञ्ज सम्पुटे यथ अम्बज खण्डे कलहंस उत्सवनः सूत उवाच आनर्तान् स उपव्रज्य श्रुद्धान् अञ्जनपदान् स्वकान् दध्मौदर्वरं तेषां विषादं शमयन इव स उच्चकाशे धवल उदरः दरः अपि उरुक्रमस्य अधर शोणशोणिमा दाध्यमायमानः करकञ्जसम्पुटे यथा अब्जखण्डे कलहंस उत्सवनः सूत उवाच आनर्तान् स उपव्रज्य श्रुद्धान् जनपदान् स्वकान् दध्मौदर्वरं तेषां विषादं शमयन् इव स उच्चकाशे धवल उदरः दरः अपि उरुक्रमस्य अधर शोणशोणिमा दाध्यमायमानः करकञ्जसम्पुटे यथ अब्जखण्डे कलहंस उत्सवनः. कृपा में सीता देवी माता जी काइंडली रीड.
हरे कृष्णा. सूत उवाच आनर्तन् व उपवर्ज्य स्वदन् जनपदान् स्वकान् दद्मौदरपरां तेषां विशदां संययन इव सा उच्यसे धवलो अधरो तरो पा उरुकम अदर्शन सोनिमा ददात्मा मन करकञ्ज सम्भूते यत अब्ज कंडे कलक हंस उत्सवना. थैंक यू माता प्रभु जी.
हरे कृष्णा. आशीष प्रभु जी एंड देन पूनम माता जी प्लीज.
सूत उवाच अनर्थं स उपव्रज्य श्रद्धान् जनपदान् स्वकान् दद्मौ दरवरं तेषां विषादं साम्यान इव स उच्चकसे धवलो दारो अपि उरुक्रमस्य धारा सोनिमा दध्मया मनः कराकंज संपुते यथाब्ज खंडे कालहंस उत्सवन. हरे कृष्ण.
पूनम माता जी.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी. अनार्तन् सा उपव्रज्य सुरधन जनापदान् स्वकान् दधमौ दारावरं तेषां विषादं समयन इव सा उच्चकासे धवलो अधरो दरो अपि उरुक्रमस्य अधरो सोनिमा दधमायमानः कराकञ्जे संपुते यथ अब्जे खंडे काल हंस उत्स्वनः.
Hare Krishna.
श्लोका नंबर 1 and 2. सुत उवाच
Suta uvacha
आनर्तांस उपव्रज्य श्रुद्धान् जनपदान् स्वकान् दद्मौ दरवरं तेषां विषाद शमयन् इव सह उच्चकाशे धवल उदरः दरः अपि उरुक्रमस्य अधर शोणिमा दाध्यायमानः करकञ्ज सम्पुटे यथा अब्जखण्डे कलहंस उत्सवनः. Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Suta Goswami said, upon reaching the border of his most prosperous metropolis known as the country of the Lord, sounded his auspicious conchshell, heralding his arrival, apparently pacifying the dejection of the inhabitants. The white and fat bowled conchshell, being gripped by the hand of Lord Krishna and sounded by him, appeared to be reddened by the touch of his transcendental lips. It seemed that a white swan was playing in the stems of red lotus flower. Purport by the Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The beloved Lord was away from his own prosperous metropolis of Dvārakā for a considerably long period because of the Battle of Kurukṣetra. And thus, all the inhabitants were overcome with melancholia due to the separation. When the Lord descends to the earth, his eternal associate also come with him, just as the entourage of a king accompanies him. Such associates of the Lord are eternally liberated souls, and they cannot bear the separation of the Lord even for a moment because of intense affection for the Lord. Thus, the inhabitants of the city of Dvārakā were in a mood of dejection and expected the arrival of the Lord at any moment. So, the heralding sound of the auspicious conchshell was very encouraging, and apparently the sound pacified their dejection. They were still more aspirant to see the Lord amongst themselves, and all of them became alert to receive him in the befitting manner. These are the signs of spontaneous love of Godhead. The redness of the white conchshell due to the lip touch of the Lord is a symbol of spiritual significance. The Lord is all spirit, and matter is ignorance of this spiritual existence. Actually, there is nothing like matter in spiritual enlightenment, and this spiritual enlightenment takes place at once by the contact of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. The Lord is present in every particle of all existence, and he can manifest his presence in anyone by ardent love and devotional service to the Lord, or in other words, by spiritual contact with the Lord. Everything becomes spiritually reddened like the conchshell in the grip of the Lord. And the Paramahamsa, or the supremely intelligent person, plays the part of the ducking swan in the water of spiritual bliss, eternally decorated by the lotus flower of the Lord's feet. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Ena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Ham Sri Guroho Sri Yuttapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavancha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatha Anvitam Tam Sajivam Sahadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitancha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhecha Krupa Sindhube Evacha Patitanam Pavane Bhyo वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा. We today start new chapter 11 of Srimad Bhagavatam Canto first, Lord Krishna's entrance into Dvārakā. We try to understand shloka number 1 and 2. Here Sutta Goswami speaking about the Lord, how they reach at the bank of their capital city, Dvārakā, Ānartas, and they blow their auspicious conchshell, and all inhabitants of Dvārakā came to welcome Krishna, and what happened, how their conchshell was, and other points are discussed in two shlokas. Prabhuji will tell us in detail again.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So after taking permission from everyone, the Lord has traveled all the way from Hastinapur towards Dwarika. And the place, Dvārakā, is the most prosperous metropolis, as we have seen. And in fact, it is because of the presence of Dvārika that the greatness and the renownedness of even earth has increased. So, this country of the Ānartas is where Krishna, because of the ensuing Kurukṣetra war and thereafter his stay in Hastinapur, he had been far away. So as soon as he neared the city, he immediately sounded his auspicious conchshell. So the sounding of the conchshell was indirectly to make everyone aware the heralding of his arrival, and also in order to pacify the inhabitants who were all dejected because of being away from Krishna. The conchshell, it is described that it was white, it was fat balled, and Krishna had captured it in his hand. And as soon as he touched his transcendental lip, the white conchshell appeared to be reddened. So it seemed as if it was a white swan which was playing in the stems of red lotus flowers. And that is what Krishna is. He purifies everything that comes in contact with him and gives it more and better significance. So here we are seeing very important characteristics being described. So we see that not only Krishna has been away from Dwarka, and he knew that the absence of his association would have made all the inhabitants out there overcome with melancholia. Ideally, whenever Krishna comes, he always comes with his eternal associates. And they come because they want to continue to be in association with Krishna. So just like when a king is traveling from one place to another and all his ministers, all his entourage is accompanying him, similarly when Krishna comes, his eternal associates also come. Now these eternal associates, they are all eternally liberated. They are not Baddha Jiva like us. They are all Mukta Jiva. So when they are coming and they themselves have to face this separation from Krishna, it becomes very, very difficult for them. They cannot bear even a moment away from Krishna because they have that intense affection for Krishna. And here, the inhabitants of Dwarka, they were away from Krishna for such a long time. So obviously they were in a mood of dejection. And they were hoping that Krishna would arrive any moment and give them freedom from this dejection, from this vipralamba bhava. So the sound of the auspicious conchshell of Krishna was very encouraging for them. And it heralded that, oh, finally, the dejection is getting satisfied. But then the sound was only an indication that Krishna is coming. What they actually wanted was to be amongst, was to have Krishna amongst them. And so everyone became alert to receive Krishna in whatever could be the most befitting manner to allow his arrival. They were all in spontaneous love of Godhead, and this was one of the symptoms. So, bhakti actually means spontaneous living service. When we are in the material world, we have to maintain a relation between material thing and its owner, a master and a servant, a friend and a friend, a father or a mother and a child, a husband and a wife. Such similar extended relations between man to man to beast, man to nature. But none of these can be within the term of bhakti. Because no relation within this mundane affair is possible without a motive behind it. And it may happen that sometimes we are seeing or meeting some relatives without any motive, but if we do deep analysis, it will be possible for us to see that there is a possible some sort of a motive, maybe lower or a higher degree. So the bhakti or a spontaneous loving service cannot be applied to any object within the material world because it is a thing which is absolute monopoly or the personality of God. When there is a question of service, there is automatically the acceptance of one who is served and also a servant. So the master or the Almighty Godhead is omnipresent. So his service, his servants are also omnipresent. And so bhakti is also omnipresent. So the promptness, natural inclination, mode of spontaneity, when awakened from the transcendental service of Godhead without personal gain whatsoever, but the genuine signs of love of Godhead, which the residents of Dvārakā were exhibiting. And it exhibits from pure spiritual platform as opposed to mental or physical actions. So, unalloyed devotion, free from the tinges of all designations of mental and physical platform, when engaged in the transcendental service of Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with a view to satisfy his senses only, is called pure bhakti. According to Kaviraj Goswami, the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, the symptoms of unalloyed devotion can be categorized into four. One, there can be no desire except a determination to make progress in transcendental realization of the devotion of Godhead. Two, there is no other worship than the personality of Godhead. Neither there is any desire to worship the even the impersonal features of Godhead like Brahman or Paramatma. Three, there is no tendency for knowing for the sake of knowledge, nor for working for the sake of fruitive results. And fourth, the unalloyed love of Godhead increases the spiritual propensity without a pause for a moment. So when someone is freed from all the material tinges, when one tries to take no more than what he requires for the sake of livelihood and for the culture of transcendental service of Godhead, with heart and soul, it is called pure unalloyed devotion, the bhakti. And that is love, the spontaneous love of Godhead, which the residents of Dvārakā were all exhibiting today. So by attainment of bhakti or loving service of Godhead, the devotee, one, does not wish for any other engagement, two, does not fear from anything, three, does not envy any object, three, does not enjoy sensually, and five, does not endeavor for anything mundane. So wish, fear, envy, enjoy, endeavor, these are all removed when we attain bhakti or loving service of God. And when we attain such things, the Godhead rewards such sincere devotees sufficiently, even materially, and protects his devotees from all encounters. This is the mission of personality of Godhead, as explained in Bhagavad Gita 9.22. Ananya chintayanto mam yejjanaha paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahami aham. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. And that is why the inhabitants of Dvārakā, they were all glorious. Because they were all eternal associates of Krishna. But his absence had made them dejected. Here we see that Krishna had touched his white conchshell with his lips. Now that is a symbol of spiritual significance, especially when it is mentioned that the white conchshell turned red due to the lip touch of the Lord. Now the Lord, we all know, is all spirit, and matter is ignorance of the spiritual existence. So actually, when it comes to spiritual enlightenment, there cannot be anything called matter. And spiritual enlightenment, it takes place at once by the contact of Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is Lord Shri Krishna. So Krishna is present everywhere, in every practical of all existence. And he can manifest his presence in anyone. In Brahma Samhita, we are being told that he is there in each and every Parmanu. So Krishna is there everywhere. But then, the moment we do not realize Krishna, what happens is we get easily illusion. So we need to accept Krishna. We need to accept that yes, Krishna is there. Eko api asau rachaitam jagadanda kotim yat shakti asti jagadanta chaya yat antah andantarastha paramanu chayantarastam govindamadi purusam tamaham bhajami. So Krishna is undifferentiated entity, and there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore. So this chit, spiritual, is very, very important. It is distinct. By his inconceivable power, he can at will create whatever he wants. And he resides simultaneously in his fullness and entirety in all the atoms in all the worlds. So Prabhupada ji says, by ardent love and devotional service to the Lord, or if you have to make it in other words, just by spiritual contact with the Lord, everything becomes spiritually reddened, like the conchshell in the grip of the Lord. So it is important that we realize this connect with Krishna. Someone may say, oh, Krishna himself appeared in that time, and so maybe it was possible. What about us today? But then we forget Krishna Naam, Krishna Avatar. Krishna and his holy name are not different from each other. Krishna and his holy name, they are all pervasive. And that is why we have to respect the holy name. So when we associate someone or we associate ourselves with the holy name, immediately that spiritual spark gets lightened. Bhakti Lata Bija. So this Bhakti Lata Bija, it starts as soon as someone gets in contact with the devotee. So the mercy of the devotee followed by the mercy of the Guru results in mercy of the Parampara, the mercy of Radharani, and mercy of Krishna. So Paramhamsas were the supremely intelligent persons. They actually are playing the part of a ducking swan in the water of spiritual bliss, where the whole water, the whole pond is eternally decorated by the lotus flower of the Lord's feet. And that is why you have to surrender eternally to the lotus feet of the Lord. We have to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. And it is then and then only that we can realize Hit Chit Swarupaha. Otherwise, his abode is beyond human conception. Because all the words, limited and spiritual, both exist in him. So this can be something which can be realized only with the mercy of Lord. And one who is able to get that is the most glorious. If someone is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness, cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day, being engaged in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshipping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering any other service, cultivating friendship, surrendering fully to the Lord. That is the true realization of the human form of birth. All these activities, they are auspicious and full of spiritual potencies. And so they make a person perfect in self-realization. And then his only desire is to achieve the association of the supreme personality of Godhead. And then we can easily approach Lord without difficulty. By the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back to this material condition of life. And that is why Krishna, his merciful protection of the Lord, is Kshema. The Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness. And when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to the miserable conditioned life. And that is why all our journey, it started by chanting one round of Krishna, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And even we don't know when it slowly progressed to 16 rounds in all. When it progressed to, you want to associate more with the devotees. When it progressed to, you want to read more of all the scriptures. When it increased to taking only Krishna Prasadam. When it increased to doing deity services. When it increased to being always engaged in some sort of service to devotees, to Guru, and to Krishna. That is the perfection of life. Hare Krishna.